So, hi, my name is Venus. I'm a dancer. I have been running meetups at Scotia for the past 3 years, specifically for like girls and non-binary furries. Um, yeah, I don't know. Oh, I'm so lost.
Well,
What
how
do
did
I
you
do?
get started in the furry fandom?
Oh my goodness, it will have been. It's kind of been since I was maybe like 10, so maybe about 10 years ago, technically. Um, but it was weird. I knew what furries were and I thought they were really cool, but I didn't know I could be one at the time. Like I didn't know what to think. I think early furries just think that you have to like do something to be a furry instead of just saying, you know? And I forget what furries were. I kind of forgot about them for a bit. And then maybe it was like 2015, 2016 before I kind of re-involved myself. Um, Made some personas, joined Furry Amino, I think it was at the time. Oh my god. Um, and it's kind of just been since then I've been kind of aging with the fandom. Um, it's been a while. I think the way I got into it in the beginning was mostly through like fursuits and art. Because I just thought the idea of dressing up as a big fluffy animal was the coolest thing ever, and it kind of is. Um, but I've never been more involved with the furry fandom in my life as I am right now in the present, I think.
So, talk to me a bit about your persona. So, I know you've changed a few times over the years. What kind of gave you the
Yeah.
inspiration for Venus?
For Venus specifically, I just needed a change. I think again, I've been in the fandom so long, I've grown as a human being and I've changed so much that my persona kind of has to change with me. Which I think is fair. Venus, I mean I love cats. I have two in my house. I'm actually right now on call. I've got my uh Thanos Squid Game cat plush with me. Um and I needed something that felt a bit more like my present self. And I've always thought that I'm quite a kind of confidently uh like pursued person. Um, I kind of was starting to come into myself more and what how do I describe this? But like sort of embracing femininity a bit more. Um, and Venus just sort of grew from that. Actually, her design is very based off of one of my own two cats, which maybe is a little bit strange, but when I was looking at cat features and markings and stuff, I kept going back to my own cat for it. Um, and she just sort of, she's always grown with me. Like she's had design changes. She's still going through design changes literally right now. Um, I think I've always just kind of grown with Venus, and she's cool. She represents like my kind of my best self, I think. Um, yeah, I like her.
As another member of the Kitty Kid committee, I can tell you, cats are best personas, just saying.
Cats are the best. Yeah, there's too many dogs, I think.
So, you mentioned before about being a dancer and stuff like that. So, I've seen you dance in person at Scotiabank a couple of times.
Mm,
It's floored me every single time. Um,
that's crazy.
I think if memory serves, the first time you performed at Scotia was the year that you won it, I think.
Yeah, it was. Um, at the time it was when I had my persona Latte, who was kind of pre-Venus. He still exists, but he's like kind of a little bit retired just now. Well, the suit's retired, but the character still floats about. Um, he Scotia 2023, I think. Yeah, it must have been. It was when I was finally 18 for a furry convention. Um, and I was like, I've always loved performing. I Before I was a furry, I was a cosplayer, and I used to try and do cosplay competitions at literally every single Comic Con I attended. I just have this affinity for being on stage, I think. I was a theater kid as well. Like I really love attention. I'm just a massive attention seeker. um, so I watched furry dance competitions on YouTube and stuff. They always looked so cool. People like Blue the Dragon were a huge inspiration of mine, actually. And also, oh my goodness, like strobes and stuff, like all the kind of big dancers that um, I watched a lot of. And then I finally had the opportunity to compete in one, and I was like, oh my god, yes. Um, I remember specifically doing the kind of pre-rehearsals before the actual show. Um, and at the time, there was not nearly as many dancers as we have now at the Scotia Dance Comp. The Scotia Dance Comp has grown so big. since I was there. At the time, it was so intimidating, I think, for the first time. But um, we had Ashton as the host, and he was so amazing at just like helping me kind of like settle in. And I remember doing rehearsals, and I came back and I was like, I sat down and I was sweaty, and I was like, oh, and he was like, hey, you done really well, like you'll be totally fine. Um, got on stage for the real competition, done it for the first time, and when he was calling out the winners, I was in my head and I was like, hopefully, I was like, oh, maybe I'll be like third or second at a push, you know. And he was calling out the winners, and he said third and second, and he was about to call it the first, and I was like, right, it's not gonna be me, can't be me. I kind of threw my hands up, and I was like, nah, surely not. And there's like videos of me winning, and you can see that I take a second to process that it was my name that he said. I couldn't hear a thing, to be honest, in that head. And it took me a solid second before I realized everyone was looking at me, and I was like, oh, he did say latte. That was me that won, and that was like the coolest thing ever. I don't know. I hold that memory quite fond, I think.
And then at Scotia 25, we introduced the beat drop beat down, which what did you make of it?
I think it was it new to me at the time. It oh my goodness, Speed Up 2025. But that's yes. I had done Pause and Water at Confuzzled the year prior, so it wasn't the first time I was doing a dance battle type thing. But at Pause and Water at Confuzzled, I was like, I think in the first round I got put out. As I was against, oh my goodness, other name evades me, which is such a shame. I know it's Pidge's partner anyway. And I completely lost to them immediately because they're such a cool dancer, and I was like, well, that was that. So I kind of went into Beat Drop Beat Down last year expecting the same idea. I was like, oh, I'll go out like first or second round. And mind you, dancing in Venus is a bit of a nightmare. I hate that 3D printed head so much. So I was like, oh, hopefully maybe I'll go out early so I don't need to dance over and over again for the few rounds. And I ended up in the finals with Vincent somehow. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Every single time I was on stage, I was like, right, this is it. This will be my last one. And then I'd win again, and I was like, oh my goodness. I'm getting so tired, but it was so much fun, and it was so much fun to do it with people. The Confuzzled dance group and the Scotia dance group have a lot of overlap, but the Scotia like dance group specifically are so near and dear to my heart. So like being able to do it with them was really fun. And I'm not surprised I didn't win against Vincent because you know he's a little powerhouse. Um, I do love Beat Drop Beat Down though. I'm glad that Scotia's finally started to do something like that because it's been so fun.
So what would your advice be to someone who's like starting off, like specifically dancing in fursuit? Because that's not easy, bestie. I've tried it.
Ooh.
It's not easy.
Oh my goodness. I think the hardest thing that we do to ourselves all the time in the world is just comparing ourselves to others all the time. Um, and it's hard to say don't do that because it's a really hard feeling to not to kind of overcome. Um, but I think if you're in it for yourself, and you're not, I wouldn't try to think about what's going to be like this X other person as much. Um, I'd say definitely be creative and have fun with it. Um, do what feels right to you, match your own style. Um, definitely practice. I will say as well, practice makes perfect. Um, I'm quite particular myself when it comes to dance form, especially in more recent years. I've got into K-pop recently, so K-pop dance has been kind of up in my alley, and kind of learning through that has been really great. If you really do enjoy it, you will learn as you go. Yeah, just definitely. I'll circle back. My main point is definitely to try not to compare yourself to others, which is so difficult. But if you really only focus on yourself and just like do it for the enjoyment rather than to try and get something out of it, because you're not going to get much out of it anyway. You know, it is just the dance competition is sorely entertainment for the people watching and the people involved. Um, you know, it'll be get better that way, I think.
So let's circle back a little bit to you making your routines and things. You know, you mentioned you've been influenced by Lady Gaga and K-pop and other artists as well. So when you think of a song or when a song comes across your mind, At what point in time do you go, okay, I want to dance to this song or like that kind of style?
Oh, it's so hard sometimes. To kind of when it's dance comp season and you're like, God, what do I actually have material wise to try and dance to? I don't like using the same song more than once. Which that's just like a me preference thing. If somebody wants to use the same song twice, I none of my business. Um, but just as a general kind of rule of thumb, I don't use the same song over and over again. Um, but it's usually songs that I just feel you can just like kind of feel it sometimes. It's hard to really describe, but if a song plays and I'm like impulsively making choreo for it while I'm like doing dishes or something, then that's probably a good indicator that it's a song I want to dance to. I hope you can picture me now in my kitchen playing like a spa and dancing with plates in my hand. The track I'm trying to work on right now has kind of similar bits in it, and they're always just so much fun. Like when you find that little bit you get to do, you're like, oh, this is great. It's so exciting. Um, yeah, because I think was it. Oh my goodness gracious me! Sometimes I get confuzzled and Scotia all mixed up in my brain. I think it was Scotia 25 that I had done. I kind of included K-pop for the first time into my routine, and it was "Fantastic Baby" by Big Bang, which is a banger. It's like K-pop royalty anyway. Um, and at the time, Squid Game 2 had just dropped, so that was on everyone's minds, and I included a bit of that. And then the theme that year was magic, so I still wanted to kind of play about with the magic bit as well, but I also wanted to do um something that felt like I could do. Uh, I do try and include theme a lot whenever I'm doing uh dance routines, but sometimes it's really difficult. And I'm like, I don't really know any songs that are magic based that everyone else and their mom is going to be using for the same reason. So I usually try and like do a bit that is on theme, that's fun and it's different for my style, and then I'll bounce into something a bit more, um, I don't want to say the C word, but cool and a bit more interesting and a bit more upbeat, and then I'll circle back. I don't know where I got this from.
So hopping into something different for a moment, you mentioned at the very beginning that you were doing the female furs and non-binary furs meetup
Mm-hmm.
spaces. Were you inspired by anything in particular to start that up, or what kind of gave you the draw to do those?
I'm trying to word this correctly. I had a few negative experiences in fandom, uh, because I'm a woman. I won't go into them particularly, but I think that's just part of being a woman in society. Is you're gonna deal with like just some horribleness because of that. Like misogyny exists and it's real, and I won't get too far into that. I think experiencing it in the furry fandom was felt different because it's a place that I don't feel like I should have to experience something like that in the furry fandom, because that's a place I go to escape these kind of things, not deal with it more. Um, and I was looking at event schedules from past, and I was like, well, meetups are quite popular, and you can have these really niche ones as well. That I think you've got like Fat Furs meetup as well, and you've got like meetups that are toned towards interests, like I don't know, Pokemon meetup and stuff. But also meetups that are intrinsic to something you maybe can't change about yourself, that just is the way that you are. Um, you've got the trans meetups as well that are quite specific. Um, and I think I was looking at it and I was like, there's not really a space that is for like the girls and like feminine presenting people and non-binary. So I was like, you know what if I just do that, because I feel very strongly about it. um and I pitched it to the events team, and they were like, yeah, that's cool. We ended up actually we had the small Orkney room, I think it was at the time, which it is a small room, with some tables in it and a speaker, and I had some snacks and stuff. Um, and that room overfilled very fast, and it was quite scary actually. The turnout that we had about 30 that year, in 2024 when we first started, which was just so overwhelming. I remember getting really emotional kind of near the end, um, because all the girls are just so amazing and lovely, and the fandom wouldn't be the same without like a lot of our women that kind of hold it up and stuff. When you think about it, when you think about a lot of fursuit makers and artists, I don't know if it's just me, but a lot of fursuit makers and artists that I run into tend to be women, and I think a lot of like women do the kind of the majority. I'm not saying all. This is a very difficult conversation to have. I realize, but do a lot of heavy lifting in the fandom, and I think it's important to kind of recognize that as well, and kind of recognize our efforts here. And Girls on the Club has started from maybe a place of spite to something that I love so much and I cherish it like very much just because I love the girls so much. And it's also just been really fun to have that special place. I'm trying to grow it every single year as well. I think Scotia 2025 we doubled in numbers. We went from about 30 to 60 attendees, which was also unprecedented. An events team kept coming back to me and saying, we need to get you a bigger space next year. We need to get you a bigger space next year. And I'm still pushing for that, to have a bigger space and more time. And so yeah, it's been one of the most kind of unexpected things I think I'd done. But I'm so glad I did it. Yeah, I love it.
And like to be fair as well, there is in the last couple of years there's been a brighter focus on women in the fandom and non-binary representing in the fandom, and it's because of people like yourself that create Girls Club and create female fur spaces that the change of opinion in the fandom is good. Like I remember going to my first furry event and there was no sanitary products there. There wasn't a thing. And I remember being at Confuzzled in 2023. I'm fairly certain it was 2023. When the period product packs became a thing, and you go to Conops and ask for them and that they were there. And like I know at Anthro Irish, for example, like we've always had gender neutral bathrooms. We've always had like sanitary products in all the bathrooms as just like a standard. Um, like we had a girls' club at AI last year as an AI 25, and it went down really, really well. So like that wouldn't have happened unless people like yourself made the spaces there for female furs. Like that impact it's slow, but it's getting there and it's growing and it's amazing to see.
That's really nice. I think a lot of it isn't even really me. I'm the one that puts my name down on the events list, but it's definitely the attendees and the numbers that totally make it as well. If nobody showed up, I just wouldn't do it anymore. So it's been really special to watch it grow every single year, and I totally agree with you in the sense that it's a really slow progression, and it feels so recent as well. Like this kind of talking about it, and that like kind of misogyny and gendered issues is actually more rampant in the fandom than we realized before. So having these discussions, I think, is really important to progress as a community, um, because we should be for everybody, and we are. And something that feels like we're not, just due to the majority of people that make up the space, maybe taking up too much space. Um, so yeah, thank you. I really love Girls in the Club. It's one of those things I look forward to every year in a kind of stressed out way where I'm like, oh my god, I have so much to do. But as soon as I get there, it's so much easier and nicer. Oh, I love it a lot.
And what would you say to someone who's like anxious about going for the first time?
I would say don't worry in the slightest, because literally all of the kind of femme presenting and the girls that I've met through Girls Only Club as well, because I didn't know everybody that attended. I met a lot of people through it as well. They're all just the most kindest and like welcoming people ever. So never worry. I know in my early years of Girls Only Club there was maybe due to the kind of the silly name that I picked for it, but I found, which was really unfortunate, I found a lot of specifically like trans and non-binary women felt like they had to come to me to like ask permission to show up, and I was like, why would you need to ask that? I never want it to feel like I'm like I'm being exclusionary in that way. If you identify with femininity to any degree, you're welcome. That's kind of the point. And that kind of rattled me a little bit, because it felt like it just wasn't a part that I'd even considered. The people would have to worry about something like that. But yeah, definitely, like, I would say if you're attending ScotiaCon and you see it on your events list and you're maybe wanting to make more kind of femme friends in the fandom, definitely come, because the people there are just so lovely. I've never met like a nicer group of people before, I think.
That's so lovely because I would never have thought the phrase girls only club would have kind of made people question about coming. That's something I wouldn't even like register. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't consider it at the time, and maybe that was short-sighted of me. I felt so awful, like, whenever like these women or these non-binary people would come to me and they'd be like, "Can I come?" And I'm like, "Of course. Why do you need to ask?" I didn't realize that, like, it it put things into perspective for me. I think just how excluded certain people had probably felt before, and they were worried that I was going to make them feel the same way, and I was like, "No, this is going to be different. I promise."
That's absolutely fabulous because I know like last year I did a series with Tableau Meerkat about women in the fandom and I was able
Yes.
to interview some fabulous people from across the world like Jeannie Beats in America and I interviewed Lady Nightlight back home in Ireland. Um, and there's this reoccurring theme within a lot of female spaces about the topics we're talking about. And it's really, really nice to see that there is a space for people to go and discuss these things and just hang out and be friends and everything is grand. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's really refreshing to see that it's growing and it's so welcoming as well.
Mm-hmm. I think definitely in recent years as well, there's been an influx in very like turf ideologies and stuff. And in discussions of women's rights are being kind of infested with this anti-trans ideology at the same time, or it's just anti-trans like ideology that has the sticker label of feminism over it when it's not that at all. Um, and I think that's also been a part of it as well, where because this kind of turfiness, especially actually in Scotland and Glasgow, which is really terrible, has been growing so much that I can now in hindsight see where that worry has come from. Um, and I want to, again, I just want to make a space that isn't that at all. Um, yeah, it's really sucked, but that's part of why Girls Only Club also exists as well.
And thank you, Venus, very, very much for coming on. We're coming to the end of our time together, unfortunately. Um,
Oh,
but before you go, if you could let people know where they can find you online.
that's fine. So I'm made on Venus on Instagram. There's like a zero on the O, and then there's like five S's or something. You'll find me. It's purple and it's a cat. It's that's my thing. I'm also made on Venus on TikTok as well. That's just made on Venus with two S's. I'm Venus_Kitty on Twitter, but that is strictly over 18. If I find out you're underage, I will come and find you. Um, and yeah, that's kind of the only places I'm on actually. Really nice.
Fabulous, Venus. Thank you so, so much.